Oh, sorry, I got a call. She was saying the family will be totally disconnected, totally and completely disconnected. And it will be worse than it has ever been. And it will be, to an extent, like unrepairable for a long time to come. She was like, and I've had conversations with her before. So she was like, remember, you're the ancestral gatekeeper. So it's up to you to fix these types of things. And it starts now with you and your mother. So I'm like, okay, I'm listening to her. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't really want to though, because to be honest, I've been at the most peace in my life without the connection and the tie to her and my family. That's just the honest truth. I have been at the most peace that I've had in a long, long time. And now to hear that I have to basically reach out and rekindle things, if you will, it was kind of like a damper in my parade. Like, why should I have to if I'm in a sense of peace? Why should I have to break that just to make everybody else happy? And she's like, it's not to make everybody else happy. She's like, this is bigger than your mother. This is bigger than you. This is bigger than the both of you and all of you put together. So now I'm listening because I'm like, oh, this is some serious shit. Okay. So she's like, you have to become situationally aware of the fact that this whole dynamic was occurring way before you were even thought of. I was like, okay, I understand that. She was like, how is your mother's relationship with her mother? I'm like, well, she has a relationship with her, but she's even uglier. Like, her treatment, her verbalizations, the way that she talks to my mother, the way that she has always treated her, she's very ugly and nasty with it. Very emotionally and verbally abusive. And I remember telling my mother years ago, I was like, if she were my mother, I would cut her off so fast, she would never hear from me or my children ever again. And then I ended up doing the same thing because I started seeing the pattern. And so I felt like to stop that dynamic from continuing on within the bloodline, to stop it from like an infection, to stop the infection from touching me and my children and grandchildren and so on that are to come. It was like, to me, severing, a limb. Although this particular surgery didn't hurt. It actually felt good to do. And I felt like I was stopping an infection from spreading. So the oracle was saying, she was like, did you know that your mother was made to be the bearer of burdens for the family line? And I was like, no, And she was like, what I'm saying is she's hurt people, hurt people. And I'm not excusing all of what she's done to you, but it's the truth. She's like, she can't do any better because she don't know better. It's up to you. You know better. You know the way. It's up to you to make the change. And I'm like, it's like I understand at that moment, but I'm just like, why me? But as time goes on, I'm understanding more and more why it's me. So she goes on to say that, you're going to end up taking her to, a place where she can really show you love. And I'm like, I don't need her to show me love. I don't need her love at all. I've gotten, I've done just fine without it. I don't need her love. And she's like, but she needs you and she needs your love, so I'm like, okay. She's like, you're going to need to heal her and restore her. And she's like, there's a virus on the computer. So I'm like, what? There's no virus on my computer. And she's like, no, there's a virus on the computer. And when I say that, I mean energetically. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she's like, yeah, there's a virus on the computer. And that needs to be fixed right away. And I'm like, I got you. I understand, And she's like, you're going to need to cut the cord from you to your mother and the relationship that you all have had stemming from, when you were born all the way up until now. You're going to need to cut the cord on that particular dynamic. And you're going to have to reestablish, you're going to have to make a new cord to reestablish a new type of relationship with her. So I'm just like, okay. And, she's like, you can do this. I know it seems hard, but you can do this. And she's like, you have to do it like now while she's still in her earthly presence. Because y'all, to be honest, when I cut my mother off and my family off, I was prepared to never speak to any of them again in life. I was prepared to live with my peace and just chuck up the fact that I wouldn't have, communication with any of my family to keep from going through constant drama and sneak attacks. I was prepared to never speak with any of them again and to die with that. I was prepared to have her die and us to never see her again. I was prepared for that. But the divine has other plans. So, in that sense, I did a cord cutting ceremony. And one very interesting thing the oracle also said to me, she was like, you've got a little girl with you. Have you ever do you have any girl children? And I'm like, no, I have 2 sons. And she's like, okay. Then she's like, Ifa is showing me that little girl is you. She's like, she's you at about 13, 14, or 15 years old. And you created her. You created her because you needed strength in your life. You needed a voice. You needed a voice to showcase your strength. You needed protection. You needed validation. You needed to be allowed to express what you wanted to, even though your background is religious and you weren't allowed to express a lot of things. You created her so that she could. And she's like, that little girl is still with you. And she does not like your mother. And I was like, okay. She was like, she's with you all the time. And she's like, she does not like your mother. She does not like how your mother has treated you over the years. And you've got to cut that cord with her too. You've got to cut the cord, that particular dynamic with you and that little girl, you know, from the age of 13, stemming all the way up to now. And you've got to start a new cord with her too and reestablish your relationship with her too. She was like, you've got to protect that little girl. You've got to protect your little girl. And she was like, because she's your little girl now. And she's you. And you got to let her know that she's a grown woman now. And that you no longer need that type of protection. You're a powerful woman. She was like, you don't need that type of protection anymore that she once gave to you. You don't need that type of strength because you already have it. And she was like, when I look at you, I just see all this love in your face. You've just been hurt. And it's time to fix that. And I appreciate her words. I do appreciate them greatly. She was saying that I needed to reassure the little girl that my mother will never harm her, that my mother will never come at her as she once did, and that I'm her guardian now, and that she has nothing to worry about because I'm her protector now. And y'all, I did that cord cutting ceremony, and I just thought it was just going to be, okay, cutting the cord, cutting the ties. I felt that deep in my womb. I felt that whole ritual, that whole ceremony that I did not expect to feel anything, but it's like you feel pain deep down inside, and it's almost where it wants to bring you to tears, but you don't cry. It was like that. But I felt it deep in my womb, like almost like my womb shifted while I was doing that ceremony. Almost like I had gave birth to things that I had been holding on to, that it was time to be birthed. It was time to be released. And it's really hard to explain, but that's kind of how it felt. And it did kind of make me feel like it shifted my energy and my emotions about the whole situation with my mother. And she was like, she's still a hurt little girl. She was never fully raised to the point where she needs to be. She wasn't able to be a mother to you because it wasn't meant for her to. It's meant for you to be the mother to her that you needed for her to be to you. And I understand that fully. She was like, she's waiting for you. She knows subconsciously that you're the child that's supposed to heal her and love her and nurture her. And I'm not going to lie, at first I was like, I'm not giving her a damn thing. But now, like after that ceremony, it's like things that were buried deep came to the top. And that's all a part of the healing process. And this needed to be done. It needs to be done. Not just for the sake of my family line, even though that is very important, but also for the sake of me. In order to heal others, you have to first heal yourself. And I feel like I have healed or am healing on many different levels from many different situations and aspects that have been created either by myself or others in my life. But this was one that I was willing for it to die off. I was willing to let it die hard because, you know, I didn't see myself ever reaching out to her, and I blocked her so she could never reach out to me. And, you know, after the talk with the oracle, I waited a couple of weeks. I was intending to wait about a month, but you know, they have a day called the Holy Day of Atonement. On that day, that's when Spirit said to me, why don't you reach out to her today? So I did. And I messaged her and I told her, you know, I would like to atone with you. Plain and simple. And she reached back out and she said, I thank you for allowing me to atone with you. And we're in the process of scheduling, you know, a meeting, you know, between the two of us so that, you know, we can hash out things and, you know, like I said in my message to her, get to a point where, you know, she can start having, you know, visits with her grandchildren again. And I wrote a nice little poem for the little girl, my 13-year-old self, and I told her, I love her. I told her repeatedly, I love you, because she is me. And I needed a mother figure to say that repeatedly to me. So I gave it to myself. And I told her, I love you. I love you repeatedly. I told her, you're enough. And I told her, you're protected. No one will ever harm you again. Because as your guardian, I will protect you. I will take care of you. I will continue to love you and nourish you. And I do feel a sense of peace since that has happened. It feels as if a burden has been lifted off. And I am able to make other moves in my life and other changes towards healing and reestablishing and doing the things that I've been needing to do. Like, for instance, I've been wanting to stop smoking. And so I did stop smoking what you call the normal cigarettes, Newports. I don't smoke those anymore, surprisingly. And it took all this time. I've tried at least 3 or 4 times beforehand to stop. And I never would be successful. I'd always end up going back and starting with smoking all over again. This time I think I'm done for good. And what you saw me smoking earlier was called healthy smoke cigarettes. It's literally natural herbs, no weed. They have a couple of different kinds. And it's actually, I feel a lot lighter. I feel a lot better. And it actually is healthy for you. One of their packs that I got is called the active, has herbs in it that, you know, don't make you like tired or mellow, you know, for your active day, you know, early on in the day. And then the other pack that I got is called the smooth pack. And that's for like in the evening when you're ready to mellow down. And then the active pack is like Damiana, it's like chickweed herb, and I think I still have the paper. Damiana, chickweed, and skullcap. And then in the smooth pack, there's the smooth pack is actually my favorite. And this is my first time trying them, but there's chamomile, peppermint, and sage in the smooth pack. And it's kind of like, it gives you the effect of like a menthol Newport, that cooling sensation, like that menthol sensation. It does, you know, make you feel like mellowed out. And I don't smoke them often like I did cigarettes. You know, it's like ever so often throughout the day, if I get an urge, I turn to those instead of Newports. But they don't have things in them that make them addicting, make them addictive. They don't have THC in them, and they don't have any tobacco in it whatsoever. And, you know, maybe I'll do a video, show and tell on them at a later time. But I'm in the process of healing that dynamic. And I thought that this journey would be befitting to share with those that follow me and are subscribed to me, because a lot of my subscribers have been through similar situations. And hopefully my situation can be an inspiration, kind of like a step-by-step on how to move forward, if you will. So I hope this has, you know, touched or reached some out there that may be still going through certain dynamics and situations similar to mine. Hopefully this will help. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. I'm going to get off because, I mean, I am